Good morning, everyone. You know that's your favorite song. Do you guys have favorite intro songs for podcasts that you listen to? I'm a little addicted to the Going All In podcast intro song. It's stupid, but I dig it. Who cares? We're here talking about cars on Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnik. I'm coming to you from the Container Park in Las Vegas, Nevada, along with my partner Michael Deeb in San Francisco. What's up, Michael Deeb? How you doing?
Who did our intro song? Is that Soundgarden or?
Yeah, that's
it's got a
Salad,
little black
Salad Garden.
Yeah, it sounds like Black Hole Sun. You know, it's got a little.
Some rando song from some music library that I have access to. We can't use real music on the YouTube machine. They get in trouble
without paying royalties.
Yeah, that ain't happening. So
of course, we would never get caught because nobody ever hears it.
Right. Well, that's the thing is the interweb machine scrubs music. If we tried to put Black Hole Sun on there, it would reject the video and we wouldn't get monetized and we would lose out on that half a penny that we earn on this podcast because of all the 8 people that watch us. Chris Cornell's birthday over the weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, that's good.
Sun. Yeah.
And we lost Chris Cornell. Is that right?
Yeah. A couple of years ago,
breaks my heart.
4 years ago.
I mean, that's one of those you just kind of shake your head. You're like, damn, that dude was so talented. His distinctive voice, and it seemed like almost everything he touched, he had the Midas touch when it came to music.
Chris Cornell may be responsible for my love of 993 cabriolets.
Really? Well, there's an interesting.
Back in probably 94. The first one I ever saw in the flesh was an Aubergine green one driving around Green Lake where I lived. If you guys. Anyone who's ever lived in anyone who's ever lived up in Seattle knows Green Lake.
Did you mean Amazon green? Because you said aubergine green.
I did say aubergine green, yeah, and
eggplant green.
Yeah, no, let me do that again. Adventurine green. Adventurine green. The correct answer was adventurine green. And
we are nerds.
We are nerds. Yeah, you caught that. Most people are like aubergine green, whatever. Yeah, adventurine green 993 cab driving around. I used to see that MF going like, oh man, I guess I have to be a damn rock star. Clearly not a rock star, but I was able to get a 993 cab for quite a few years, and I miss it. Little Porsche story there.
You were a rock star. You married a hot chick. You are a rock star.
I got lucky in that regard. That's true. All right, guys. Well, you're here wondering what the heck is going on Bid Nerds. We got Patootie, our producer over there, barking at intruders in the studio at the Container Park. Relax. But look, what we do is we pick the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. We go through P-Car Market, Cars and Bids, Bring a Trailer, sometimes Marked and Shiftgate, and we find the most interesting car. We talk about it, and then we make a prediction as to what we think that car will sell for on its respective auction. And then we show you what happens. We show you right here. Right. We time travel like that. Boom. You get to see how much the car actually sells for at the end of this podcast, and then we'll discuss the results. Today we're doing something a little different. Today we're actually picking 2 cars. That's not just the most interesting car of the day. We're picking the 2 most interesting cars of the day, and we're going to talk about how they relate to one another. And maybe this whole thing was inspired by Chris Cornell. I don't know. But let's go ahead and get to those 2 cars real quick. Let's see here. Let's start with a C4S. I will bring that up for you guys.
John, you know what happens is I look through all the auction sites, I star or like cars, I watch the cars that I think are interesting. Sometimes it's difficult to select between 2 cars. What happened as I was preparing for today's show is I realized closing on the same day this week, which is let's go Friday the 29th on Bring a Trailer. 2 different 2004 Porsche 911s are closing. So the first one is this 2004 Porsche 911 C4S with just 31,000 miles, offered out of Nashville, Tennessee. Very beautiful condition. Although Guards Red is not my favorite color for any Porsche, I kind of don't like Guards Red on a 911. This car looks fantastic. You and I agree. You educated me that the rear end of the C4S is arguably, if not the prettiest rear end of any 911 of all time. And I think that the Guards Red sitting behind this car accentuates all the shape, the lines, and the details, and really makes them pop. This car looks to be in spectacular condition, not because of the low miles, but because of the way that the owner or two owners of this car have truly taken care of this vehicle. The car was treated to a GT3 RS thick Alcantara steering wheel with red stitching. Car is also equipped with my favorite sports seats. The IMS bearing was addressed in 2019, and according to Carfax, this car is accompanied by 27 service records, which is an indication of how well this car was looked after. So the car shows really well. It's super clean. It looks like all the right maintenance and services have been done to keep this car up. And I think that the future is bright for this consignor. I think he's going to get a lot of money for this example. John, if we can, maybe jump over the other car and we'll juxtapose the two. The other car that I was having a hard time choosing between is a 2004 Porsche 911 40th anniversary model, a 40 Jahre, if I'm saying that correctly. I don't speak German. We'll have to ask Jason Camissa, who's fluent in the language, to enunciate Jahre for us. This car has just 35,000 original miles and is offered out of Palm Harbor, Florida. The 40th anniversary model is a homage to the original 911 that bowed in 1963. So Porsche has gone ahead and made 1,963 examples of this special 911. Our car is numbered. It's number 0154 of 1,963. What makes that 40th anniversary so special, all the cars are painted in GT silver, and all the cars have is a dark gray natural leather that comes perforated their seats and perforated steering wheel and perforated shifter for the manual transmission that these cars come with. The other thing that makes these cars so special is the X51 power kit, which makes the cars put at about 345 horsepower or about 25 horsepower over stock. The cars also have the turbo front end, sort of front apron with the 3 grille openings. They have the GT3 rocker sills. All of the cars are narrow body. It's a shame they don't get the wide body from the 4S like our red car. These are all the narrow body cars. But because they're all rear wheel drive, because they're all manual, and because they all have the extra horsepower, I would assert that these are one of the best driving cars from the era. It's kind of a junior GT3. I mean, the GT3 of this era only made another 40 horsepower at 385. So this is an incredible value for the money because GT3s are now bringing well over 100, sometimes $150,000. The IMS bearing on this car was addressed in 2021, but it's interesting to note that this car only shows 5 service records on the facts. And although this is probably the rarer and maybe arguably better driving car, I think that the condition and the service and the presentation of our C4S might help it along, where it might not be the more valuable model, it might be the more valuable car, despite these cars being very similar in age and mileage. So, John, I think you've driven both of these cars, and I cannot say the same thing. I don't think I've actually driven either one. Not any meaningful miles. You've owned 996s. I have not. I'm looking for a house, so my next 911 might have to be on a real budget, and one of these two cars could be in my future. So as I'm really looking towards 996s, explain to me and all the other idiots out there which one of these you like better and why they're both great values.
This really is an amazing comparison because the 996s for a long time were kind of poo-pooed, but they've really come into their own. 996s are just fantastic driving cars, especially in these two configurations. But you're really comparing what would be kind of the classic 911 experience, lightweight rear wheel drive only and a little bit more power, versus a car that's a little heavier, but has that cool wide body look. I have owned 5 C4Ss in my time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have said 2 at least.
Yeah. I went through a bunch of them. It's a long story, but look, these really are amazing driving cars. Uh, which one would I choose over these? I mean, look how beautiful this C4S looks
Isn't it?
in
It's
red. I mean, that is just
stunning.
amazing. Look,
Yeah.
most
Shout out
like,
to Buddha. Shout
yeah,
out to Buddha.
yeah.
What's up,
We
dude?
have to mention his car.
Thinking of you, baby.
His has the wing on it. It's
they're okay.
very rare to see 996 C4Ss in red. I mean, most
Yeah.
90% of them, it seems like, were silver or seal gray or black. Occasionally, you see a red one, a blue one, or a white one. But
Yellow.
and even yellow. The problem with most of the red ones is that they're almost always tan interior, and some people like that. But the problem with 996 era 911s and 997s too is that typically the interiors were all one color, and I don't have a problem with tan seats if the rest of the interior is black or whatever, if it's an accent color. But all tan when you have that big 996 beige dashboard. The 996 dashboard is not the best looking dashboard ever made, but it does look pretty cool in black. But in any other color, it's tough to love. This car doesn't have that problem. This car has a black interior with the red with the red seat belts and the red hardback sport seats.
It's cool.
Trying to get it really is. This is a gorgeous car. Look at that.
Right?
And the idea of putting the
Look at that steering wheel.
wheel. Oh my gosh.
That's a JP move right there. The GT3 RS steering wheel and a 996 4S. That is a Polnik move for sure.
All they need is coilovers on this car, and like I did in
Done.
some of the cars that I've owned, the C4Ss, we pulled the front diff out, and you make it a rear-wheel drive car. And on the C4S 996, it's not a terribly difficult conversion, unlike in the 993s and 964s where they have a viscous transmission. It's next to impossible. I mean, it's not impossible in the other cars, but it's difficult. You got to leave the drive shaft and everything on the air-cooled cars. But in the 996, you pull that front diff out, pull the drive shaft out, you save yourself like nearly 300 pounds. It's a huge difference, and is worth it. Man, this C4S looks immaculate. Like it looks brand spanking new.
I might bid on that car. I might bid on that car, and if I win, I'm gonna get Buddha to sign under the hood in Sharpie, black Sharpie.
His car is lovingly called Bertha. But okay,
yeah. I'm gonna buy a Bertha replica.
You'd have to get a wing to match his car. But okay, so let's go to this. Which car is better? Now we're talking about the 40th anniversary. Sorry, Patootie is really upset about this 40th anniversary car. Apparently, I don't know what her problem is. But look, the MYO2 wheels look amazing on this car. The anniversary car shares the same nose as the C4S, but doesn't have the gills on the back, which kind of bummed about. But it does have that GT3 rocker, like you had mentioned earlier. And you're absolutely right. This is a junior GT3. These cars with that extra horsepower,
rocket ship.
You are talking 997 power territory here.
John, have you driven one of these? Like really?
I have, and you can feel the difference. It is the better driving car in every way. You can pull the front diff out of a C4S and improve it drastically. But the one thing that I don't think I heard you mention that the 40th has that none of the 996s have is a limited slip differential. They all have option 220, the LSD.
You're right. Thank you.
Which also
it's not in my notes. You're right.
Drastically improves the driving quality of this car. Now, both cars suffer from the IMS peril that we all worry about in M96 engine cars like the 996s and first gen 997s. So that is something to worry about. This has been updated. If you can get over that anxiety and sleep at night, now look, I mentioned that I have had 5 C4Ss as well as a couple other 996s. I have, knock on wood, yet to have an IMS failure or a cylinder sleeve failure. But it happens, man. It's a real thing. And it is something you have to be thinking about when you're driving one of these cars. All old sports cars, luxury cars, high mark brand cars, as the cars depreciate, they don't know that they're not worth as much as they were when they were brand new. Of course, these cars might be. So the repairs, are, they go along with an expensive car. But, you get an old M3 and something goes wrong with it, you might have a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bill or something. Unfortunately, that IMS bearing and the cylinder sleeve problems, those are hand grenades. Those
catastrophic.
Catastrophic. Yeah. They are new engine time, and so you're talking about a $30,000-$40,000 repair issue if you have to replace or rebuild this engine on either one of these cars because of the same engine. When you're talking about a $50,000 car and you have that thing sitting in the back of your head, it is the sword of Damocles over your head all the time when you're driving one. But boy, you'll have a smile on your face. Go ahead.
The sword of Damocles? Did you say that?
It's like it's just like right there.
That's quite the reference, JP. I'm impressed. Ben, the professor, just fell out of his chair in front of the class, and he's like, "Wow!"
If he were watching, but no one watches this show. Which one would you rather have, Deeb? Do you have a preference?
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell you, and then you're either going to laugh at me or you're going to agree with me. The difference between these two cars to me isn't so much the driving dynamic. I'm a little barrel chested, and I need to be comfortable behind the wheel of the car. Our 40-year anniversary car has the standard seats, and our C4S has the very rare option of those hardback sports seats that you pointed out that are gorgeous because they're painted the exterior color of the car. So the guy who ordered that C4S really ticked some very interesting boxes that makes his car a more compelling dance partner. Like if we're going to take a long drive to Southern California and go do a Breakfast Club run and go do a professor run and then drive our cars back home, I'd rather be in the C4S, even though the 40-year is the better driver. And I also think these two cars, this C4S shows, as well as any used car I've ever seen, really looks like it's in spectacular condition. Our 40-year, I'm not knocking it. It just looks like a used car. And it doesn't we know that these cars came with like this 6-piece beautiful luggage. None of that stuff is present with the car. It's just not showing as well as the other car. And that makes this juxtaposition so interesting. The numbered, better driving 40-year anniversary should be the more valuable car. And I predict that it's not going to be the case here, even though the cars have very similar mileage. So
does the C4S have the umbrella? That's one thing I didn't notice. Our good friend Buddha's C4S has the factory umbrella that sits on the passenger side next to the door and the little slot. That would be pretty cool to see if it had that. Okay. Really all right. So what do we do on this show? We make a prediction. Here it is. It's time to predict which. Okay, let's go back. I'll go ahead and go back to the C4S here. Let's start with a prediction on the absolutely insanely gorgeous, maybe the nicest 996 C4S we've ever come across on this show.
It's worth remembering that these, we're canning or we're filming on Monday, and these cars are going to close at auction on Friday, the 29th of July. So about 5 days from now. So JP, it's early in the auction for these two cars. Our 2004 C4S out of Nashville, Tennessee is sitting at $50,000 on just 2 bids. I'm going to go for it. I think it's going to take $63,000 to bring this car home.
That's a solid bid. If it were 2 or 3 months ago, I would have said this could be one of those $70,000 ones.
Yeah. It may go there anyway, but we're softening. I'm with you.
So we're seeing a little, maybe a little bit backing off the crazy numbers here, but we have never seen one this nice. I haven't I haven't seen one this nice since they were brand new. So I'm going to go over. I'm going to get nuts. I'm Mr. C4S. I'll say 65. Would I pay 65 for one of these? No, I wouldn't. I think at 65 you are in, 997.2 territory, and that is the better than either of these cars. Although maybe not as pretty looking as this car. I don't want that sword over my head as much if I'm in that price range. But the fact that the IMS has been updated on this car really helps a lot. Remember, IMS replacements do not put you in the clear. Sorry,
they're not guarantees.
We mentioned Buddha numerous times in this pod already. His had a IMS upgrade and it failed again. So now his car is driving beautifully now because it was taken care of. But boy, so that's something that's just terrifying. Okay, so you said 63, I said 65 on the C4S. Let's see. What do you think about this 30-something thousand mile anniversary edition?
40-year anniversary out of Palm Harbor, Florida, is also going to close on Friday, the 29th of July. Our car is sitting at $43,000 on just one bid, and I think $56,000 is going to be the winning bid to take that car home. What say you, John?
It's interesting. In the background picture of this, you can see another 996 in the background with the normal nose. How different they look, man! The nose on that turbo nose should have been put on all the 996s. It's just such a shame that they went with that kind of cheesy looking one on the other ones. Anyways, boy, if I owned this car, I would also, even though that's the way the MY02s came, they're kind of polished. I would way rather have them just, gunmetal. But what is this going to say? What was your bid on this car? You said 56?
So JP, it's at 53. I'm sorry, it's at 43,000. I think 56,000, and it's just interesting because that's 7,000 less than the C4S. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say 55. This is a really nice one. And it's on the right. Yeah. It's on the right platform, but I just don't think these are as strong. I mean, the wide body really has is the better looking car. Again, which car would I choose over the two? I'm still a toss-up on that. That C4S was so nice, but I'd probably go for the anniversary car just because it's a better driver. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
I mean, if someone were offering me the two, I think the C4S is the more valuable car by maybe a pretty big margin.
This is like that high school game where, like, which one would you bang and which
would you rather?
Yeah. And I want to drive that 40-year, but I want to buy that C4S. You know what I mean?
That is the struggle with the 996 platform. Is that there were a lot of great 996s, but there wasn't one great 996. I mean, even though the GT3 996, but it's not wide, right? So you start adding all these. You get the turbo, but the turbo 996 has always looked weird. Those inlets on the side just look goofy. Yeah, they just make the car look long and narrow, even though it's the wide body version. Just aesthetically, the turbo 996 just doesn't do it for me. Whereas without the big turbo inlets, the C4S looks perfect, but they never made a wide body wheel drive GT engine version of the 996. If you had all three of those things, Metzger engine, wide body, rear wheel drive, then you'd have the ultimate 996, but that car doesn't exist. So you have to make one if you want one. So that means getting a C4S, pulling out the front diff and replacing it with a GT3 engine. That ain't happening.
Oh, no. In this fantasy of yours, we go the more expensive route because we're playing with funny money. We go to Europe and we get a GT3 RS, and then we replace the rear with a C4S rear bottom end. And now you've got the Metzger engine, you've got the C4S ass, and you've got the best driving 996 of all time.
996 GT3 RS? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I guess
They never brought it to the United States.
Yeah, if we're doing that, let's get the rocket ship engine in there. All right, guys, who'd you rather? A 996 40th anniversary car, or would you rather have the prettier but not as good a driver C4S in red? And which one will be worth what and how much? Will they both sell? Will either of them sell? We will find out right after you hit the subscribe, like, and notification button. Give us just a second. We're going to tell you how much these cars sell for. Okay, guys, I want to tell you about Vegas Auto Fest. The drivers are coming. This is one of our big sponsors. It's the biggest car show of the year in Las Vegas. It's one of the coolest car shows you can possibly experience anywhere. If you haven't made plans to be part of Vegas Auto Fest on September 17th, then do it now. Go to vegasautofest.com and register your car. You think you're a car enthusiast? Doesn't matter where you live. Plan a trip to Vegas on September 17th and come out and see this show. It's like Monterey Car Week all in a day. Have you ever been to the Quail? Have you ever been to Works Reunion? Have you ever been to Amelia Island? All those car shows are amazing and great. Have you been to Luftkult? Sure, but Vegas Auto Fest is something special. Make a plan for September 17th. We'll see you in Vegas. All right, guys, welcome back to Bid Nerds, your daily nerd on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites like Bring a Trailer, P-Car Market, Shiftgate, Cars and Bids, Marked, whoever else decides to make an auction site and play in this game. We dig through all those platforms, find the most interesting stuff, and have a conversation with you about those interesting cars right here on Bid Nerds. Every day of the week, every weekday we do this with my partner Michael Deeb, and my name is JP if you haven't figured that already. Look, you just saw us talk about these two cars. Today's kind of a twofer. It's a twofer Tuesday. I don't know if we're going to publish this on a Tuesday, but maybe we should because, you know, everybody knows what a twofer Tuesday is. We're doing something a little different. We're comparing two cars. We didn't make a prediction on one car. We're making a prediction on two very similar but very different cars. Deep, let's start with, you want to start with the C4S? Yes, you do, because that's what's queued up. Sorry.
All right. So, JP, you may remember we had this 2004 911 C4S, 996 C4S, which is 31,000 original miles, offered to us out of Nashville, Tennessee. This car is on Bring a Trailer. And if you remember, JP, this was a really cool spec car. It's got the painted hardback sports sheets. It's got the 996 GT3 RS Alcantara thick steering wheel on it, cocoa mats, and the car was spectacularly clean. Really beautiful car, really great build, offered and presented in excellent, amazing condition. This is a car that any 911 guy would want to own. I mean, you and I were drooling over this car. And here's what happened. This is interesting. This car did predictably well. So on the C4S, I thought that this car would come in around $63,000. You even took the over and said $65,000, basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing your words here, that if any 996 C4S was going to break the bank, it would be this one. And you know what? We were pretty much right on the money. This car sold for $62,100 on 18 bids. So I won that one. It came in just a few $100s under my prediction. But I would say that you and I were both, because we were both within a couple of grand of the result on this car. And I think you would agree with me, JP, that that is the correct result for that car on that platform. That sort of represents a car that's got some miles on it. That's a car that's a result that sort of represents the top of the market in today's thing. And again, while Guards Red would never be my first choice, I would have loved to own that car. That car was bitching. What do you think? Are you surprised by that result? Are you that kind of? I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, right.
No, I'm not surprised by that result at all. I mean, I think maybe, you know, people are talking about softening of prices and stuff like that, and boy, this car kind of makes you go, are prices softening? I mean, 60,000 plus for a 996. I don't care what. I mean, look, it's not a turbo. It's not a GT3. The idea that any C4S would go for over $60,000, particularly in Guards Red, just a year ago would have been patently absurd. Like, what? I mean, the high watermark for these was $40,000 for the longest time, and 60? Wow.
Yeah. Could have got you a turbo. Could have got you a 996 turbo.
Yeah, and this is another situation where you're going, well, okay, for $60-something thousand, you're easily in 997S territory, which is, just a way better car. And this is coming from someone who's owned multiple C4S 996s, and I love them. I think they're just absolutely beautiful, wonderful, fantastic driving cars. But for 60 grand, I'm getting a 997S. There's no way I'm considering any 996 unless it has a turbo or it has the numbers GT something on it on the back. So but this 996 was one of the nicest ones I think we've ever seen.
Ever.
Now
Yeah,
compare that. It was an interesting comparison with this little anniversary 996. So
Nice.
what happened with this car?
JP, we would be kind of cool to do sort of a little face-off, a little juxtaposition of these two very similar cars, also the same year. What we're looking at is a 2004 Porsche 911. This is the special 40th anniversary edition, which Porsche built 1,963 examples. They're all equipped almost the same: GT silver, natural gray interior, the ball polished 19-inch wheels. All of these cars come from the factory with the X51 power kit that brings the horsepower of these rear-wheel drive examples up to 345. Now, again, they're the same motor. They're still, you and I would sort of joke that they're kind of glass engines. But both cars have had the IMS bearing attended to. This car is offered on Bring a Trailer, the same platform, out of Palm Harbor, Florida, with just 35,000 original miles. And JP, logic would suggest that a numbered rear-wheel drive, faster Porsche should bring more money than a non-numbered, heavier, all-wheel drive Porsche that is essentially the same ilk. And ironically, that is not what happened here. Our car out of Palm Harbor failed to sell at $46,000, where it stalled out on, oh my God, let me read it again. It was scrolling, and it was just 5 bids. This car got 2 or 3 bids at the close of auction and stalled out at 46 grand, where it did not meet the reserve. No action on this car. Do you have any idea what you think happened here? Because I'm kind of stumped,
That's a head scratcher. What day of the week was this car?
Friday. These cars were done on Friday.
They're both done on Friday. Yeah, that's crazy. Did we dig through this ad?
On the same day.
Was there something that we missed, you guys watching this? Did we not read the ad carefully enough? Was there a mention of a accident or some kind of problem that we failed? Maybe in a driving video you could hear a rod knock or something. I don't know. That does seem odd to me. But wide body trumps narrow body, I think, in most cases, unless we're talking about a GT3. I can't remember which one I picked before the break, but this is definitely the better driving car. This is maybe not the better looking car, but it absolutely is the better car to drive around in as an enthusiast.
I should offer you that while the car failed to sell at $46,000, I thought the car would bring 56, and you parked your bed right underneath me at $55,000. So this car was $9 grand under your lower bid. You actually won this one, but we both thought this car would obviously be in the mid 50s somewhere, considering the miles and the equipment and the limited nature of the car. 46 grand could have bought you this car 2 years ago, but in today's market, lower mile anniversary cars, which this is one of, have been bringing $50,000 and $60,000. But this one didn't even break 50, where our C4S, which rarely gets to 60, was comfortably across the line. So again, it wound up being a very interesting comparison, I think, between these two. Although I am still scratching my head that the 40-year didn't get 50 grand.
Yeah, that's bonkers. There is one of these that I've been looking at. A friend of mine has one up in the Northwest that I've been kind of trying to buy. And, so I actually dug through the prices on these pretty hardcore not that long ago, and the number is 50-something. And I get that. I thought that was a little high. I don't know if this is a car I would pay 50-something for. It is a magnificent car. But again, I think I'm surprised it didn't sell at 46. I'm surprised that their reserve was that low, because look, if it doesn't get that much here, where are you going to do better? It's BAT, man. What are you going to do? Go on P-Car Market or something like that? Or now try to put this on a forum and try to sell it in one of those places when it failed to sell at this price?
I would assert
that's
this
tough.
Car is half the miles of most of the ones that we see either in the classifieds or on the auction sites. Anybody that owns this car is driving it. And so, after 2004, after, 16, 17, 18 years, a lot of these cars have some miles on it. To see one nice condition with the IMS address and under 40,000 miles. I'm shocked it didn't break 50 grand. So that's a head scratcher where I'm honestly not surprised by the C4S result. Again, our bids were all over it, and that car was spectacular. But this one really kind of left me going, like my jaw fell open. I was like, wow, to even get 50 grand. Just goes to show you, he should have hired the bid nerds to do the ads for him.
I guess so. You know, with better photography, some driving videos, you know, what did this car need? No driving video. Oh, wait, no, I stand corrected. No, there's driving video, yeah. Man, what the heck happened with this one? I'm trying to read through the comments to see if anything...
5 bids. JP got no love, no action at all.
If we saw the same thing on the C4S, it'd be like, okay, yeah, everything's softening, watch it, okay, readjust all your expectations. But what the F, man?
Yeah.
The C4S and this car, again, we've talked ad nauseum now about the differences, but they're not that different.
Nope.
One gets a premium, one doesn't even sell. What do you guys think is going on here, guys? Let us know in the comments below. This one's a bit of a head scratcher. Did you like the 2 for Tuesday? Did you like us comparing one car to another? Did you like the face-off?
Yeah.
As it were.
And which of the 2 cars would you have preferred? And, you know, money aside, which car do you love? I mean, personally, I would like to. I just loved everything about the C4S, but the car I want to drive is the Anniversary. You know. Which
car is the John Travolta, and which one is the Nicolas Cage? This is a face-off. Clearly, the 40th anniversary was
terrible. The show is just
Nicolas Cage. Failed to sell. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe, like, and notification button, and we will see you guys, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, because we do this every day.
Get the word!